Welcome back to Face the Nation. President Biden heads to Poland this week, his second visit since Russia began its war in Ukraine. For more, we go now to Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, Matt.
So President Biden will be visiting Warsaw. We know you've said President Zelensky will also be in Poland. What do you expect from these visits?
Well, I expect that there will be a very strong confirmation of our resilience and our joint efforts to defeat Russia in Ukraine. Because instead of saying, as some Western European politicians say, that Russia cannot win this war and Ukraine cannot be defeated, we have to change the paradigm and we have to say Ukraine must win and Russia must be defeated. And I believe that the words of President Biden will reassure all Europe that the United States is with us in this fight for freedom and peace.
It sounds like you're referring to the French president's recent comments. Does NATO actually want Ukraine to win this war and regain its lost territory?
I believe so. I'm absolutely sure that this is the only way how we can restore peace and stability. I cannot imagine that Putin and the Kremlin winning this war and then peace and stability is around us, because the very nature of Russia is to conquer other countries. Russia has actually summoned the worst of the 20th century: colonialism, imperialism, nationalism, and this is the nature of Ruski Mir, as they call, and this is why it's such a critical moment in our history.
President Biden said he believes the war has to end in a negotiated settlement that's favorable to Ukraine. You said last year Poland doesn't negotiate with criminals. Nobody negotiated with Hitler. Would you negotiate with Hitler, with Stalin, with Pol Pot? Are you saying peace is not possible if Putin stays in power?
I just came to hear this interview from Munich conference. Munich Security Conference, very important platform to exchange opinions today. But in 1938, there was another Munich conference where all the leaders of the Western world succumbed to Hitler, and they believed they are bringing peace to their countries. And 1 year later, the Second World War broke out. We can, of course, negotiate, but it has to be on the conditions and under the definition presented by Ukrainians themselves. It's up to them to define what terms and conditions can be acceptable to negotiate with the Kremlin.
One of Ukraine's neighbors, Moldova, has warned that there is a plot to overthrow their government and open a new front in the war. An ally of Putin recently said that Russia should denazify and demilitarize Poland next. Do you see evidence that Russia is going to try to move into other countries, including yours?
Yes, I do see lots of fingerprints of Russian forces, Russian services in Moldova. This is a very weak country, and we all need to help them.
But in terms of Poland, you are in NATO, so the United States would have to come to your defense if you went to NATO and asked for it. There are 11,000 U.S. service members on rotation in Poland currently. I know your government's asking for more. Do you have any indications from the Biden administration that they will send more troops or make them permanent on your soil?
We are in a process of discussion with President Biden's administration about making their presence more permanent and increasing them. But I'm very grateful also for sending new Patriot systems and other very modern weapons and munitions, because this is also to some extent a proxy for presence of soldiers. But of course the two go in tandem. I also recall the words of President Biden from his last visit in Poland, when he said that every inch or square inch of NATO's country's territory will be defended, and Russia is not going to put any inroads into those countries. And I do believe that NATO countries, we are all very much secure, but it's not only about us, it's also about creating stability around us in our direct neighborhood. And if we fall to integrate Ukraine in NATO and the European Union, Ukraine will always be a buffer zone, which is not right.
All right. Mr. Prime Minister, we'll be watching that visit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.